Why do we need to look like wolves? I asked everyone one day. That's nice. That's a good inclusive bit for deaf people. Because they're powerful, everyone answered. They once ruled over the weak, and so shall we. The art's good. Why do we have to wear bows and crowns? I asked everyone. To tell if you're male or female, of course. Males wear crowns like our alpha did, for they are crafting themselves in his image, and they need to find a bow to have a child with. You need a crown and a bow to create a child, everyone answered. Alpha theory is crap, by the way. There's science behind it. Even the person who came up with alpha theory put out an article saying that it had been taken out of context and was being too broadly applied, especially with regards to human society. But that's another conversation. But what if I don't want to wear the bow? What if I wanted a crown? Or neither? And what if I don't want a child? I cried. Everyone laughed. A child is a blessing, a fantastic and hallowed responsibility for all bows. You give your life to him or her, like how you give your life to your flame, like how your flame will give his life to you, like how we give our lives to our alpha. And for a bow to wear a crown is to betray his blessing of you living under his light. If you don't give yourself to this blessing he has given you, then you are an ingrate for wasting the gift our alpha has given you, existence. How could you, after everything he has done for you? His path is always the path you're destined to walk down, and there is no way to change it. Not much of a gift. I don't want to exist on a path I'll never be happy on. Exactly. If that's how I'll always exist, then maybe I shouldn't exist, I never said. Here, we will always look after each other and love you with one single condition. So long as you keep wearing the wolf's wool he has given to all of us, they answered. Always look and act like us. Never stray from our alpha's light, and you will always be happy with us. Okay, I lied. You're okay, everyone replied. I replied. I hope I am, I think is what's listed behind. I have been told of how life is a number of steps taken towards a destination. Where that is, you won't know. Or maybe you do know. Who knows? After all, I've also been told that the destination and the path to it could be life-threatening. So it's best not to stray far from where you're guaranteed safety. And besides... Nice. That's very loud. And besides, any footprints will always be wiped away with our wolf's wool dragging behind us. That's okay, because we live in the bright lands always, never straying from our alpha's eternal sun. So we don't need the footprints or the destination. Those steps always seemed too dark under the light anyways. That's what everyone always said, at least. Damn, these illustrations are good. Nobody knows when our way of living started. One day, our god, Alpha, stitched himself together from several different old and obsolete powers and gods, just like the eternal sun he crafted into his own image, just like the wolf's wool that protects us. He said he always loved the light, for it makes him want to work tirelessly for us, like we will always do for him. But I wonder sometimes, did wolves always look like this? I could have sworn they looked really different in old books I've read, without wool even, but everyone swears that what we wear is correct. Everyone knows homosexuality was invented by degenerates in the 1970s. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Was there a different sun before our eternal sun? Everyone swears that there has always been our sun, but I think it looked different before. At least that's what some old books say. But what do those books know? Books. But there are many things I don't know either. I don't know why my name is uncomfortable. I don't know why this protective wool is uncomfortable. I don't know why the comfort everyone told me to believe in, that everyone told me would make me happy, doesn't make me comfortable or happy. I also don't know why I like to dance. I do know why I don't dance, though. Everyone has told me how much of a time waster it is, and that I look too stupid when I try, so I don't anymore. I don't know who I am, despite the years I have lived. I don't know who everyone is. And because of this, maybe everyone doesn't know who everyone is either. Who is everyone? What is everyone? Am I everyone? I think I am. I look into the mirror and see the wolf's wool everyone wears reflecting back to me. The protection that's helped me survive in the Bright Lands for this long. And seeing the reflection looking back at me, the reflection that I think looks like me, the way it reflects light from the window and into my eyes makes me feel... But in the times I move my body, doing respectable work everyone loves, pains and aches, internal and out, blossoms on my back like my worries. It makes it harder to step and dance when nobody is watching, and it makes it harder to do anything I love or hated to do. Why does it hurt? It shouldn't hurt. I sleep like normal, like I typically do, but are my bad habits starting to tear me apart? I needed to tire my questioning mind with scenarios I'll never see. And I embrace my wolf's wool to give my arms something to do so I don't sleep on them. I've also been accidentally sleeping longer than I should, and on waking up I still feel tired. Had my everyday decisions and actions been wrong for the longest time, and my shoulder blades are now just telling me? And it's both of my shoulder blades that hurt, not just one. Perhaps I toss and turn in my sleep. I don't know if I do, but I do sometimes find my wool staring at me from the ground, so I guess I do move around sometimes. Or maybe it isn't when I sleep, but what I do every day. Maybe I should stop hunching over my old books. Maybe I should find a better position to relax in. Maybe I should stop dancing in my home. Maybe I'm sitting in my chair wrong. Maybe I should stand straighter when I work. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'll get better throughout the days. Just grit your teeth and endure, that's the way. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'll get better throughout the days. I say this every time I fall asleep. And then after waking up one day, like every eternal day, I find my shoulder blades in pain and my wool on the ground like always. When I pull up my wool, however, I noticed all the rips and tears being pulled open by time and wear. How long was it like this? Did my wool always look like this? But I never saw anyone else's wool like this, I think. So when I awaken for the new or same day, I'm not quite sure which it is. I ask everyone about my wool. And everyone laughs. How silly! You're joking. The wool is not that weak. If it is falling apart, then you're not taking care of it enough. How incredible for you to destroy something that our alpha has so graciously given you. But I did take care of it, I never argued. I take care of it like you always said I should. If that's the case, is there something wrong with me? Instead, I laugh along with them. I'm so scared. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'll get better throughout the day. That's what you like to tell yourself anyway. Bumps flutter in the heart and the mind, and hopefully never on your body. And before you realize, you soon come across another bump. And soon you launch forward before you realize you are falling towards your shadow. And soon you collide with that shadow, shattering your body. And soon your entire being expels different intervals and different directions, dusting the horizon with your remains and covering it all until light cannot reach the ground any longer. And then I wake up. My shoulder blades hurt and my wool is on the ground again. I stare into the glass eyes of the wolf that had been watching me sleep for who knows how long. The eternal sun from outside makes its plastic eyes glisten like they were wet with crying. And now I feel like crying. This is spectacularly creepy. It's got a working at Disney vibe. I stare into the glass eyes of the wolf that had been watching me sleep for who knows how long. Oh, sorry, I just read that. Is my wool the reason why everything feels so uncomfortable? Or is it my fault for letting it become dust? I'm getting dislodged from time, I'm so engaged with this. I don't know. And there are so many things I don't know. For example, what happens to those who lose their wool? Why haven't I seen them in the Brightlands? Do they disappear? And is that disappearance what everyone calls death? I have only read about the concept of death in old books, but nobody has ever mentioned it in my entire existence. If someone happens to leave everyone's eyes for a long period of time, then the memory of their existence fades into the light. But I remember one person. I think. I don't know. We were friends, I think. I think we played. I think we hugged. I think we did other things that made us laugh, but not like how everyone laughs at me. It was close to how crowns laugh to their bows, but we both had bows. And suddenly she was gone. Nobody will acknowledge her absence, no matter what I say, no matter how vivid the memory of her is. So it's as if she was in my mind only, haunting me like an empty shroud. Will that be me? Will that be the end our alpha decided for me? What a shame, for I haven't been able to find my flame yet, due to being so tired from working all day each day. I can't stay damaged like this, and I can't get new wool. I also can't get caught without wool under the light's glare. I'm too scared to see what those eyes reflect back to me. So before I go to sleep for the day, with my shoulder blades in pain and with my itchy wool over my shoulders, I think of the things I should do for my comfort. I think of the words everyone gave me before when I was distressed. You're okay, 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 okay. More okays than I could ever feel. Less than I actually feel. Sadder than... that is... Let's go green. I love it when they flip the script on light is good, dark is bad, and go the other way. The searing lights and the comforting shadows you can hide in. How nice. How wonderful. How terrifying. How awful. How the body is and how it acts. How others look at you and how they think before knowing you. And what can you say? What can you do? Defend yourself? From what? They may ask. Because there are no sticks or stones hurting you? So what exactly is hurting you? Words? Words can never hurt, or at least that's what they say. It's all in your head, and everyone knows that what's in your head doesn't matter. At least that's the same combination of words they like to say over and over. Round and round, like a waltz where your feet are always getting stepped on. So you step away from their terrible lyrics and movements. So they scream. So you cry. So they reach. And so you're gone. Far, far away from their prying words and into melody and silence. But words keep repeating and circling and wrapping around you, making you want to slow down. You want to stay walking, but you're wrapped into a cocoon with your old tattered wool, baking underneath the heated sky and unforgiving sun. I want to keep going, you think. I need to keep walking, you want. I don't want to end it like this, you hoped to yourself. I just want to exist without any discomfort or pain or sadness. And soon? I awaken in a room I don't recognize. I apparently was dreaming, or at least I hope that was a dream. The outside is different. My shoulder blades still hurt, but not as much as they did before. When I rise from the cushions I've been resting on, I can feel dust and wool remnants that covered me now settling onto the ground. Upon seeing the particles fall and scatter around the air, I follow my gaze down and catch the wolf's plastic eyes. Had my wool been on the ground this entire time? The eyes seem to answer with scorn reflecting in its eyes, and reflecting also the cloudy sky outside. Oh, good. I'm glad you're awake. Before I could put my wool back on, a voice tinted with laughter jolts through me. I hide my visage under the soft, comfortable blankets and look to the source, finding a large grin beaming at me. I'm so glad you're okay. I can't believe we found someone from the Brightlands. We rarely get people from there. Do you happen to remember me? I'm from there too. This laughter isn't like everyone's laughter. This one made me happy for some reason. Maybe? I answer timidly. I'm sorry, but I don't remember your name. I am, and that's okay. I have one I like better. I'm Loud. Loud? It suits you well, I wanted to say, but I wasn't sure if that was rude or not. I admired their loudness. That's right! And what about you? What's your name? Are you okay? I feel the wolf's eyes on the ground still staring scornfully at me, and suddenly I feel like covering my entire existence in this blanket as I try to find the right words. But then I remember everyone isn't here, and the glare from the eternal sun isn't on my back. For some reason, realizing this made me whisper quietly, I'm not okay. Loud explained what they knew to me while I got used to living in the colorscape. Ah. I like it. Whether this was true or not, they nor anyone else who came from the Brightlands could clarify. But it does make some sense after talking to some of the other people who live here. Alpha lied and manipulated everyone. He created the Eternal Sun to burn non-believers who took off the wolf's wool he provided. The wool protected your skin from his sun, and it was his way of controlling everyone to give him faith, which gives him power, which gives him eternal life at the expense of one's own life. Everyone now works eternally and believes in his forgotten promise, and so the Brightlands came to be. I really dig that phrasing. But who really knows, since that was a long time ago and gods probably don't exist. Perhaps it wasn't an amalgamated god who stitched himself from other gods, but some rotten people at some point who messed everything up for all and messed everything up for all, and generations had to pay for their consequences in order to survive in the heated landscape. Little bit of a climate change metaphor there, for good measure. Either way, the wool, the bows, the crowns, the artificial eternal sunlight, the tiring work to a forgotten and misinformed ideal was never needed in the first place. Made-up ideas, made-up morals, and made-up values can make false gods everyone can believe in, apparently. But when everyone made rules based on those ideals, when those morals and values you took to mind and soul were faulty at best, manipulation at worst, what can you do? I don't know how I did it. But many other people from the Brightlands who live here told me about how hard it was to escape the harsh glare of Alpha's eternal sun when they left. So was that what happened to you? I asked loud while we did our walk at this time of day called night. They laugh in response, making me smile even if they can't see my face. Yup! I'm sure you know all too well, but living there and living under bows and crowns is so suffocating. Took a while to get away from them, but I did, and you did too. I looked to the sky, the clouds still swirling around like they did when I first woke up. It's calming, unlike the harsh light at home, or I guess what used to be home. Yeah, I did. I never thought it was possible to live without the wool. Or at least with different covers and different names than what's given to you. Well, they never gave us any other possibility. I never thought I could like my smile in my own body until I ditched the wool and came here. They suddenly look at me, the warmth and light from the homes in the landscape flickering in their excited eyes like sparks. Hey, was there a specific moment when you decided to say, fuck this shit, I'm out? What led up to that moment? Every person I talked to had a story to tell, and they're always interesting. Though they point to the wool. They point to the worn wool still on my shoulders. I am curious why you're still wearing that thing. You know you don't need to, right? I'd like to see what you look like without the cloak. Wait. Wait, what did they just say? Did I hear that right? Are they flirting with me or being nice? Because that means something very specific and... I sheepishly fall silent and grip the wool, the worn-out wool still covering me. I think to deflect my dumb imagination and answer their question of what made me finally leave the Brightlands, but I don't really want to think back to it or elaborate more than I liked. Still, though, did I hear them right, or am I being really stupid right now? I think Loud sensed my panicked hesitation because they laughed nervously to break the tension my silence brought. Thank goodness they can't actually see my burning face. But something about their nervous laugh made my face more unbearably hot. Hey, Diggs. I'm really sorry if I made you uncomfortable. And if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine too. You can come out of your wool whenever you feel comfortable. I don't want to force you to do something you don't like, since that's all we've really done in the Brightlands. Loud laughs again, probably to help dispel the awkward air. I feel bad I made the air like this, but I'm glad they're not pressuring me. Really, though, living there and living under bows and crowns is so suffocating. Oh, goody, I'm really glad you made it here. When I heard them call me that, my breath caught in my throat, and my face felt like it's on fire. I sputter out a quick response without thinking or pausing. You don't need to call me that. Good is fine. Loud pauses, probably trying to parse my jumbled sentence. Huh? Does it make you uncomfortable? I'm sorry if it does. I'll stop doing that then. Oh no, I feel really bad now, and I didn't actually want them to stop, so I tried to say something, anything to correct this somehow. No, no, wait, I didn't want you to stop calling me that, I just... My mind went blank, and I feel absolutely frustrated with myself. Loud waits for a response patiently, surprisingly not mad with how I am right now, but with a gentle yet nervous smile that's encouraging me to take my time. I look to the cloudy sky, hoping the swirl will help me the more I stare at it instead of staring at the lights highlighting the colorful city. I find the words I want to say, hoping they're able to get what I want across. I'm sorry. I'm still not used to hearing my new name yet, let alone a nickname. I say this embarrassed. I've never really talked much in the Bright Lands since it could be seen as a time waster, and now my lack of being able to communicate to another person, let alone the kindest person I care most about, is starting to bite me in the ass. Loud hums thoughtfully while I think silently about what to say next. I'll stop calling you Goody then, they say with a smile, until you get used to Good, or even if you decide on a different name. Well, no, I mean, I never said you couldn't use Goody, I murmured shyly. This causes them to blink, still smiling, but very visibly confused. I elaborate further. You can still call me Goody if you want, but only you. I'm just not used to it yet, so it feels kind of weird. Doesn't this contradict what I said earlier? I think fearfully. Do they understand what I'm saying? Do I understand what I'm saying? Are you sure? I don't want to call you something you don't like, they ask softly, still trying to ensure they're not angry with me, but in fact trying to understand. Only if it's you, nobody else, I assure them. And I'll tell you if I want a different name, and I know you'll be fine with that. Loud smiles at me. I love the element, I've never seen this before, of using different, instead of using quotation marks, using different symbols to denote who's speaking. That's a nice way to convey dialogue without having to constantly alternate between he said, she said, they said, or clarifying the name of the individual after every line, or preceding every line. That's very interesting, and I love it. Loud smiles at me. Sounds good to me. I laugh at their joke. What joke? A wave of comfort and happiness washing over me. Loud laughs too, and we continue our way home. I like the music. I like these scrolling background images too. Despite this new comfort and newfound happiness, however, I didn't want to admit I'm still scared to take off the wool. After all, what would the others in the colorscape think if they saw me for who I truly am? Not even I know what that looks like, and it's terrifying to imagine something so unknowable. But then again, am I really a part of them if I keep wearing this remnant of a society that didn't want them? Am I betraying them if I stay here with them? But what does comfort actually feel like? I wanted to ask. I've never felt comfortable ever in my life. So what would it be like to live life so unlike what I'm used to? But instead of asking and not wanting to bother them with my inane thoughts, I stay silent instead. The aches in my shoulder blades still hurt. Despite this, I actually want to move around a lot more than I used to and talk to the kind people who live here. But if I move too much, then my wool will fall apart. I've also heard what other people in the colorscape say about me. It's not many, but I've heard a few say what they think about. That I don't look like them. That I'll never be like them. That the things I went through are not enough compared to them. Gatekeepers! There are some who are kind to my dilemma, though. Some even don their own shrouds that they either made or edited to their liking. In many different patterns and wools and fabrics I've never even seen before. Some have even offered me their own colorful shrouds to wear when they saw how mine was falling apart. But I declined them. After all, I don't know if I am enough to wear those beautiful colors. What if I stopped liking those colors? What if I accidentally destroyed it like I did my wool? After all, I'm not like them, I think. But I'm not like everyone either, I think. I hope. But will I ever be enough if I take the thing off? I probably won't. It's the same if I keep wearing it, but I'm too scared to take it off. I clutch the wool closer. It's now making my skin irritated and some small clumps fill my lungs. This discomfort is all I never had. All I've ever known. All I can actually predict. If I lose it now, then new things that will come my way could be worse than what I feel right now. After all, that's how I feel right now. Maybe I shouldn't have left. But was I even happy where I was there, where everyone could see me? They stopped capitalizing everyone. Maybe I shouldn't have come here. But then I wouldn't have met Loud and the kind people who live here. Maybe I should take off the wolf's wool. But then my figure will always be seen, always be judged, always never enough. Maybe I shouldn't take off the wool. But then I'm always going to feel like this, look like this. So uncomfortable. Maybe I shouldn't exist. If existing is always going to be uncomfortable like this, but what does comfortable look like? If existing was always going to be awful like this, if being looked at by other people is always going to make me feel like this no matter who they are, then... Hey, are you in here? I hear Loud's voice, but I don't move from my bed and pretend to be asleep. I seem to be only comfortable when I'm here in the darkness, and I wish I can stay here for a little while longer. I don't know what you've been feeling. I know you've been feeling down for a while, but I'm really worried about you, they say to me gently. Would you like to go on a walk with me? Talk it out if you want to, or not talk if you don't want to. I didn't reply. Hey, I know you're awake. I know you can hear me, Loud says a little more firmly. But, well, if you don't want to join me, it'd be a shame that you can't see how gorgeous the moon is. I shift in the blanket, now curious. The moon still exists? Huh? Oh, right, it was always sunny there, and it's been really cloudy here since you came. Yeah, it was never destroyed, just obscured since the sun at home was always up. The clouds have been clearing up, and we can probably see it tonight. I've only seen the moon in old books, so it did intrigue me enough to sit up in bed. I thought for a bit, wondering if I should stay in the comfort of my bed or walk with Loud. But before I could do anything, they laugh shyly and start towards the door. If you don't want to walk, that's fine. The offer will always be there, though. In a panic, I call out, Wait, no, I'm sorry. I do want to walk with you. Loud turns to me, surprised and confused. Huh? Sorry for what? There's nothing to apologize for. I look down to the blanket, sheepishly. Well, for, I guess, taking so long to do anything. Everyone said I used to talk too much, so I want to think about what to do or say. Preach. Okay, now I don't know if this is deliberate, but the character quotations are getting mixed up. They sat down next to me and placed their hand atop of one of mine that was clutching the worn wool, smiling and chuckling. That's funny, because I don't think you talk enough. And... Okay, this is confusing me. That's funny, because I don't think you talk enough. Shame on them for making you feel like that about yourself, because I like to hear more from you. I smile under the cloak, unsure of what to say, loosening my grip on the wolf's wool enough to hold their hand. I have heard of how the moon is a harmonious suggestion in the old books I like to read. Whether it's present or new, the suggestions of light always seem to come through and hit the earth in a way that's unlike the eternal sunshine I'm used to. The words then suggested that if the moon didn't exist, then the world wouldn't have some semblance of harmony. However, that's all the things I know about the moon changing. I don't know much of it after all, nobody really did, since to us it had been gone for hundreds of years. Even then, everything I could say about the moon won't be original, since everyone then had seen it, and had said all they can. I'm sure what I just stated has been stated before. But it's stunning to finally see. I really sympathize with this character wanting to both blend in and stand out at the same time, and fearing speaking, not wanting to speak for fear that they'll say something stupid or not present themselves authentically, I guess. But it's stunning to finally see it. Loud and I walked around while glancing at it and each other as we walked to a high hill overlooking the colorscape. Sitting here, we stare at it, silent in thought and spoken word. Even under the uncomfortable wool, this is the most comfortable, peaceful silence I've ever experienced in my life. After some time watching it rise higher and seemingly change colors, Loud turns to me and distills the silence. You know, there's going to be a dance soon, sometime next week. Oh yeah, I heard others talk about it, and even saw some ask their partners to it. It sounds nice. I've never been to a dance before. Loud tears their gaze from the moon to look at me, surprised. What? Really? Even in the Brightlands? I thought they frequently had dances or some excuse of a celebration. I continued to stare at the moon, too nervous to meet their gaze. Yeah, they did. I was too busy to do anything outside of work, and going to those events always made me nervous anyway. Usually those dances were for crowns to find their beaux, but after hearing how everyone talked about my dancing before I could go to one, my desire to go to one simply vanished. What about this one? Do you want to go? Loud asks. Did they sound nervous just now, or was that my imagination? I think for a moment and wanted to say yes, since I'm curious as to how different this one is compared to the ones I've seen from a distance. But the wool prickling at my back made me remember the words of the few who live here. I don't know. Probably not. I mean, nobody's asked me to the dance, and I'm not a good dancer anyway. They sigh a breath of relief. Relief? For what? Well, want to practice dancing with me? I'll be your partner. I nearly jump out of my wool and try to sputter some coherent response. Wait, huh? What? Why? They smile their big, beautiful smile, and not wanting to look like an idiot while staring at them, I stare directly at the moon instead. Ah, those blessed third things. Because I want to practice dancing with you. They say this so simply, so happily, so confidently that makes this request seem like not a request, but instead a prophecy that needs to be fulfilled. Huh? Me? Wait, why me? I blubber in disbelief. There's a lot of people in the colorscape who would love to dance with you. Because I want to practice dancing with you, they answer with a smile. But I probably don't know how to dance. I don't know how to dance. I'll probably step on your feet and hurt you, I reply in a panic. Loud laughs. I'm pretty sure you won't kill me. If you do, well, I'll be glad I died because I was dancing with you. Little grandiose, but I appreciate the sentiment. But, I argue, it'll be hard to dance with my wool. You mean you have to deal with it too. They smile wider, still laughing. I'll figure out a way. I was at a loss of words and argument at this point, and I could only reply with, I can't! It will work out. You'll see. But what if it doesn't work out? What if I make a fool out of myself and make a fool out of you? I cry. They finally frown at me, concerned. So what if you make a fool out of yourself? What would happen then? I stay silent, thinking of the multiple possibilities and multiple eyes leering at me, wondering why I can't do anything right to their expectations. How much of an outsider I am, of how putrid and ugly my wool is, how I don't look like them and may never look like them. But what do I even look? You don't actually know what will happen, they answer, breaking me out of the spiral and back into the moonlight. You don't know if it won't work out, but you also don't know if it will work out. I can't refute what they're saying, but I don't know what to say. There's many things I could say, such as how much I appreciate how gentle and kind they are with my indecisiveness, considering how much time they wasted on me and my insecurities. But the only thing I managed to utter in this maelstrom of feelings was a very small, "I'm sorry." Huh? Sorry for what? Loud asks. There's nothing to apologize for. They're not wrong, but I still feel bad and feel the need to apologize. For being dumb, I guess. They sat down next to me and placed their hand atop one of mine that was clutching the wool, smiling and chuckling. Don't worry, I'm pretty fucking stupid too. I also dance pretty stupid too, so we could just look like fools together if you're still nervous. I laugh, and they laugh. I laugh harder, and they do too, making me laugh hard enough tears fall out of my eyes. I loosen my grip on the wolf's wool enough to hold their hand. And with my hands and my entire body now preoccupied with something else than keeping it together, the wool finally fell from my shoulders with a dusty little thump. We stopped laughing out of surprise, unsure of what to do. But I was surprised at several things at that moment. My shoulder blades no longer hurt. The moonlit air tasted so sweet, sweeter than I ever imagined. Was that because of the laughter we filled the air with? Or because the dust from the now unwearable wool was settling? We stare at it, and the wolf's eyes staring up at the moon. Glancing at the wolf's glittering glass eyes, I suddenly get ideas of what to finally do with it. My movements almost felt dreamlike, or perhaps in this moment I was truly in a dream. I realize how much I've always wanted to do this, and if I happen to wake up from this dream in the future, I will make this my reality. Because seeing the thing you used to be wither into nothing woke something within you. Soon, you've taken your first steps, and seeing the dust beneath your feet glitter and sparkle in the moonlight made you want to see it move. So you begin kicking, so you begin jumping, and so you begin spinning and dragging into a brand new song and dance that makes you so elated to see it become a part of the ground. It spreads the more you dance, the more you smile, the more you laugh, and happiness within that dust scatters about like a newly cleaned room. This seems like what you needed. Now that you're not burdened by anything anymore, the dust begins to dance with you. Your partner smiles, happy to see you like this. Until coughing under the stardust and moon forces you to stop and breathe for a moment. In our bodies, there lives not only us, but the other things that affect our reality. Perhaps there is only blood and pain beneath our skin, but there is more beneath each body part than you think there is. In your throat, right where your heart is a voice. Throughout the years, it changes and shifts, vibrating and never truly staying still for all the breaths you take and you give. When you say something, it stretches and elongates, and shortens and contracts, making all kinds of sounds that shift throughout your time. What is it you want to say? What is it you want to speak? To whom do you direct your precious air that you have a limited amount of? Somewhere near your heart, you can feel an answer rise each and every time you try to talk, in different occasions, in different contexts, in different shapes and forms. What about the sounds that feel wrong? When they come from your throat and into the air, It smelt wrong, and everyone around you could smell it as well. Sometimes you couldn't smell it, but can recognize that some awful stench from the others later in life. Sometimes that stench leaves the older you get, and sometimes it rots into something worse. And when those awful smelling sounds come out, how do you clear the air? Or do you keep the atmosphere like that? Or do other people thrive in that kind of air, like oxygen and nitrogen and all the gases that make us live despite poisoning us as well? That poison you once spoke never truly fades, for all the scars the acid creates may last a lifetime, even after the air gets better, even after learning to stretch your vocal cords a certain way, even after all the apologies and the actions to reinforce new words that make the poisonous words weak. And the things you say can leave such an impact even after you've forgotten what you ever said. Almost as if gods reside in your throat. People will carry those words you say until their graves, until your own grave, and even when your grave is affixed with admirations for an eternity that will never know who you are. What are you doing? What do you need to do? What are you saying when the sun sets and the moon rises? Ah, right. You've been wasting the time you wanted to waste here. Your partner holds you, worried, but brightens like light when they see you smile at them. You need to get up, you told yourself, and keep walking with them. And so I did, leaving behind footprints in the dusty landscape. Well, thank you for that, Pajama Party. That was very evocative. It felt a bit long in places, but there was a lot to go through. There was a lot of baggage to let go of. But that was very good. That was a very good story. And I related to the protagonist a lot. And I sure hope they're doing okay.